Good morning. I'm Jen Musil. I'm global president with the Harris Bowl, and we're here at Stagwell Sport Beach in beautiful Cannes. And I'm joined by Robin Gonterman, who is the CMO of World Central Kitchen. Thanks for being here.
Amazing. Good morning.
Yes. So before being the CMO of World Central Kitchen, Robin spent, I want to say 20 years.
Yeah.
You just don't seem old enough for that. Working in some of the biggest names in technology, Google, Meta, TikTok, at the Sphere. And then you walked away from all of that into your current role a few months ago. So I'm curious, that's not necessarily a typical career move. What sort of prompted you to make the shift, and what was it about World Central Kitchen that attracted you there?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I found is that big tech is always going to be important, and that time will always mean so much in my career. But in my social circle, what I felt is the most prominent is the world feels more divided and there's lower trust than there's ever been.
Yeah, we see that all the time in our data.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And so I think that doing great things for the world and philanthropy and humanitarian work is more important than ever, of just making the world a better place.
Yeah.
So this has been the time that I've been most compelled in order to figure out how can I help out and help create a counter to this narrative that continues to grow.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm guessing at some of your prior organizations you had fairly large budgets, lots of resources. What's the thing that surprised you most moving to World Central Kitchen and kind of navigating that world into more of a nonprofit space?
You are 100% right that these worlds of TikTok and Meta and Google have essentially unlimited access to data. And at World Central Kitchen in the nonprofit world is probably what everybody expects, is that resources are limited. But one of the things that I was blown away, but had the expectation, was trust and respect in order for the marketing division. So this is the first time that World Central Kitchen is actually building a marketing department, and they respect that this is a new function and that is going to take time.
Yeah.
As opposed to in the big tech world,
right.
Whenever you're not going to market with a campaign, your market share is getting eaten. Right. There's always a cultural moment that you're missing.
Yeah.
So to have that true trust, let's do things the right way, because that's really what's going to break through, is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. One of the things too, we were talking about this just a few minutes ago, but every year at Cannes, there's always a conversation around storytelling and how do brands tell their stories. Arguably you have some of the most powerful raw material in the world when you're thinking about the types of crises that that you guys are stepping in to really provide a meaningful impact on.
Yeah.
So I can understand how you could easily make people feel something, but it's harder to get people to do things, right? So how do you think about closing that gap, and what have you seen that's really effective to kind of move people from feeling something about your mission to actually being engaged with it?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we look for is trust. And I would say even to go back to your question before of what is the similarities between what was happening in big tech world versus nonprofit, is we do a lot of audience insight, listening in terms of what do people want to see. And most of our donors are single households. And these are people that feel it's a personal responsibility in order to make the world better.
Yeah.
So these are people who are involved in their local churches. They feel it's their duty in order to give some of their wallet share in order to make the world a better place. Some of the most wonderful humans in the world. And so they want to see what is the true impact that we're doing on the ground.
Yeah.
So we like to think of ourselves journalistically of using people's phones in order to bring them to the front line. They want to see meals, they want to see the work that's being done. And so when we are doing that, we just want to have radical transparency into what's going on. And that's for the good and the bad, in order to show people what is the true scenario that's happening in these places.
Yeah. I think we see in our data a lot at the Harris Bowl, people are craving this connection in real life. They're looking for those feel good stories. What are some of the, what's 4 months in, what's one of the most inspiring things you've seen in your time?
I mean, the resilience. So all of these places where we activate, and for those who don't know, World Central Kitchen always goes to places that have been recently cut off from food supply. So that is disaster zones, might be war, might be conflict, that might be hurricanes and cyclones. And we always try to activate really quickly because people are hungry now. So those tend to be scenarios that are very catastrophic. And so what this resilience. So we've been operating in Ukraine for more than 4 years. And so that's like the contrast on the other side, like these women, these people of resilience, like they live every day in order to like support their communities, and they don't feel pity for anyone. Like this is now their world, and like that amount of strength, like the entire world should know about.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's very, it is inspiring, but it's also, it's just impressive, right? They're just like really solid human beings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're at Sport Beach, so I do have to ask you a little bit about sports. I know you have a program called Million Milers, where your staff and partners run as a, raising money to support the work. I'm a runner, and I think that's a really like beautiful idea. I'm curious if you've ever participated. Tell me a little bit more about that program.
So when we think about like World Central Kitchen, we've done the brand exercise to figure out like, if we were to distill ourselves down to one word, what would it be?
Yeah.
And that for us is community.
Yeah.
So what better place than sport, whether you're running or whether you're on a team, et cetera. And that really comes from like inherently as like a pillar for us. We really, whenever we're going to do one of these activations, we always have citizens like lift each other up. So we're always looking with local restaurants, local food providers, local volunteers, in order to make sure that like communities are lifting themselves up, and we put in the systems in order to go do that. So if anybody's feel like they've been a part of a team, they know that it takes community in order to go far.
Yeah.
So this natural overlap between sport,
Right.
and having a sense of accomplishment during when times are tough and you're hitting these road bumps.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing I was thinking about too is, right, if you think about all the athletes that have been on stage here, right, like food is like, performance fuel, and you guys are talking about food as like a literal lifeline. Like, is there a spot to sort of like own, more food security in that place in sport? Have you seen other organizations besides yours lean in, or what does that landscape look like?
Yeah, we like to think of it as like, no matter what team that you're running for, we can all be on the same team in order to provide food as a human right, because it's all been meaningful. Food represents so many different things. It can be like a plate of hope, whether you are an athlete and you're like training to go to your next meal, or it's like a celebratory dinner. The same thing happens on the ground. Like if you're having these moments that might be more difficult, like having a moment of a plate of food that's like comfort food, that might remind you that like everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And then on that path to recovery, to be able to like cook at home to get a World Central Kitchen meal and have that time in order to like share with family, like you're on that path to recovery.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
What is your ultimate comfort food?
I would probably say curries.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, like immediately to the soul.
Yes.
Like, yeah, always feels great, and has a little bit of heat.
Indian food in general is so good. So delicious. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, last question. You have built, brands, products, in, like I said, in huge companies. You've had a really, really successful career. What is, and I think people can very, see, right? Everyone sort of knows the output of Google and Meta and TikTok and Sphere. But what's one thing you wish people knew about World Central Kitchen that maybe more marketers or potential partners don't know about the organization today?
Yeah. So I'm going to quote our founder, who is Chef Jose Andres, and he says, "Everybody is a part of World Central Kitchen. They just don't know it yet." So to go back to that sense of community, like what we really want is to shout from the rooftops is everybody can help. I think people get a little bit intimidated about like the size and the scale of like the needs that are out there, but we're going to do that with many hands making light work. So if anyone feels inclined in order to like get in and participate, sometimes that's money, sometimes that's bringing like what is your subject matter expertise, sometimes that's just getting educated about like the important work that's going on. We welcome everyone in order to come in and join the World Central Kitchen team.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great mantra. You just don't know that you're part of it yet.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the interview.
Yeah.
Yeah.